Sarah reels in Coronation Street video as Todd's shock outburst hints at deeper trouble amid Theo nightmare. Coronation Street is gearing up to deliver another gut punch in Todd Grimshaw's harrowing storyline, and this time, it's Sarah Platt who finds herself caught in the emotional crossfire. In a newly released video clip teasing upcoming scenes, Sarah Platt, Tina O'Brien, is left visibly unsettled when Todd Grimshaw, Gareth Pierce, unexpectedly snaps at her. It's a moment that lands with real weight, not just because Todd's reaction is out of character, but because it signals just how far he's being pushed as Theo Silverton's, James Cartwright, grip tightens. As Theo's abuse escalates behind closed doors, Todd is spiraling into a dangerous kind of isolation, one where even the people trying to help can't reach him. A lifeline gone, Todd's world after Billy's death. Todd is still reeling from the tragic death of Billy Mayhew, Daniel Brocklehurst, a loss that has left him emotionally unmoored. But in the context of this storyline, Billy's death isn't simply grief, it's catastrophe. Billy wasn't only Todd's friend. He wasn't only an ex-boyfriend. He was, crucially, Todd's confidant, the one person who offered him consistent kindness and empathy at a time when Todd was living under a regime of humiliation, control, and violence. It was Billy who gave Todd the courage to finally speak the unspeakable, to admit what he'd endured throughout his entire relationship with Theo. That confession mattered. It was the beginning of Todd reclaiming his voice, and then, in the cruelest twist of all, Billy was taken away. Theo left Billy to die in the fiery wreckage of the Corriedale crash, an act so chilling in its coldness that it redefines Theo's cruelty entirely. Todd didn't just lose someone he loved deeply. He lost the one person who had become his route out, his one lifeline, and Theo knows it. Theo's support is just another trap. In the aftermath, Theo has tightened his control, not through overt aggression at first, but under the convincing mask of the loving partner. He performs support with such calculated tenderness that it becomes harder for Todd to see the trap being laid around him. This isn't redemption, it's strategy. Executive producer Kate Brooks has shed light on why Todd has gravitated back toward his abuser in the wake of Billy's death, and her explanation paints a bleak picture of a man trapped between terror, grief, and self-blame. Going forward, it's a very complicated place that Todd finds himself in, she explained. He was ready to leave, albeit he was very terrified. He confided in Billy, reluctantly, though he still didn't fully realize the extent of his abuse. That's the bitter truth of abuse. Victims often normalize it. They minimize it. They convince themselves it isn't that bad, until someone helps them see the reality. Todd had begun that process. He had begun to recognize the damage Theo had done, but then came Billy's death, and with it, a psychological collapse. He's very wrapped up in his grief, post Billy's death, Brooks continued, so as we go forward into 2026 Todd's all over the shop. He doesn't feel like he's got the strength to go through with leaving Theo. Todd isn't simply grieving. He's disoriented, broken, emotionally exhausted. And in that vulnerable state, Theo becomes both the threat and the comfort, the poison and the antidote, the guilt Theo weaponizes, and the guilt Todd can't escape. One of the most devastating layers of this story is how Todd has begun to internalize blame. He's not only mourning Billy, he's punishing himself for what happened. He's feeling really worthless, Brooks said, and feeling like if he hadn't spoken to Billy that night about what happened, maybe Billy could still be alive. That single thought is a prison. It's the kind of guilt that doesn't just haunt you, it rewires you. It convinces you that you don't deserve rescue, that you don't deserve happiness, that you are the reason tragedy happened. And Theo knows exactly how to exploit it. That's what Theo homes in on, Brooks added. Todd is still quite vulnerable and needing someone to lift him up. Theo doesn't lift Todd up. He keeps him afloat only so he can continue to drown him. Theo's guilt doesn't soften him. It makes him more dangerous. What makes this storyline so chilling is that Theo isn't portrayed as a cartoon villain. He is something far more terrifying. plausible. Theo is haunted by the truth that he left an innocent man to die. And rather than sparking remorse, that guilt curdles into something darker, a desperate need to control the narrative, control Todd, control everything. Worse still, Theo's confession wasn't private. Someone overheard him sobbing as he confessed to Billy's body before the funeral, a secret that threatens to destroy the image Theo is trying so hard to maintain. Kate Brooks explained that Theo's guilt only increases his dependence on Todd and accelerates his toxic behavior. "We'll see Theo becoming more manipulative," she said. "We'll see him starting to draw and pull Todd back into his fold as Todd needs him and needs that support. It's the classic abuses cycle. Isolate, damage, then present yourself as the only safe harbor." Theo has positioned himself as Todd's lifeline, and, chillingly, as a lifeline for others too. He proves to be an absolute lifeline for Summer and George as well, Brooks noted. That's what makes him so insidious. Theo doesn't just manipulate Todd. He embeds himself into the wider community, so if Todd ever tries to speak out, he risks being disbelieved. "Obviously we know what Theo's like," Brooks continued. "We know what he's capable of. We know the hell he's been putting Todd through, but we also know that Todd is extremely vulnerable and he's exposed at this point." Exposed. That word carries weight. It means Todd is unprotected, emotionally, socially, financially, and Theo is about to exploit every weakness, a shift in power, and Theo's next weapon, money. In recent scenes, Todd's fury briefly surfaced when Theo hogged the spotlight at Billy's funeral. Theo's eulogy wasn't just performative, it was weaponized. Todd was furious at Theo's attempt to twist the tragedy into something Todd should feel responsible for. It was emotional manipulation dressed up as grief. And for a moment, Todd pushed back, but abusers don't tolerate shifts in power. That temporary disruption was enough to trigger Theo into adopting an even more insidious kind of control: financial abuse. Upcoming episodes will see Theo shame Todd into cutting up his credit cards and agreeing to a joint bank account, also Theo can monitor and control Todd's spending. Like every cruel act he commits, Theo frames it as concern. It's for Todd's own good, but the truth is stark. It's dominance. It's about stripping Todd of independence, making him dependent, and ensuring that even if Todd wants to leave, he can't. And Theo takes it further. When Theo visits his mum in Doncaster, he leaves Todd with only a pittance to survive on, a humiliating tactic designed to keep Todd desperate, ashamed, and obedient. Alone, vulnerable and starving, Todd has never missed Billy more. Summer steps in, but Todd is already trapped. The situation becomes impossible to hide when Summer Spellman, Harriet Bibby, discovers the fridge is bare. Alarmed, she offers to do a shop. Todd is embarrassed and reluctant. He doesn't want pity. He doesn't want questions. He doesn't want anyone to see how badly things have deteriorated. But he can't refuse, and even then, the humiliation continues. Todd is forced to crawl back to Theo, secretly leaving him a voice message, sheepishly admitting he's run out of cash. The message isn't just practical, it's symbolic. It's Todd being conditioned into dependence, into apology, into smallness. Theo has reduced him. Sarah Platt arrives, and Todd explodes. Enter Sarah Platt, a Weatherfield legend who walks into the moment without realizing she's about to witness a crack in Todd's carefully maintained facade. Sarah pops by with something entirely ordinary, a reminder that Todd owes her son Harry Platt, Joshua Levy, £10 for completing his sponsored walk, a small debt. A simple nudge, but Todd isn't living in normal circumstances. The reminder lands like an accusation. It becomes the final straw. Todd snaps at Sarah, and in that single outburst, everything Todd has been holding back bursts through: the shame, the fear, the grief, the starvation, the helplessness. Sarah, stunned, is left confused and concerned, because she can sense something isn't right. The new clip previews the scenes to come, and Sarah's expression says it all. This isn't just Todd having a bad day. This is a man in crisis. Will Sarah see the truth? The question now is whether Sarah will connect the dots, whether she'll recognize that Todd is struggling, and that something far darker is happening behind the scenes. Because in soap storytelling, the smallest moments often become the most important. A snapped comment, a raised voice, a tenor. Sometimes, that's all it takes for someone to finally notice the bruises you can't see. And if Sarah does realize what's happening, she may become the unexpected figure who helps Todd take his first real step toward freedom. But Theo won't let go without a fight.